My wife was secretly having an affair with my brother and calling me the most disgusting thing. So I had my handsome best friend accidentally meet her at her spa. He flirted hard, got her hooked, and started dating her while feeding me every detail. We made him buy expensive things, take us on outings using her cards, all while she said about finally dumping that hideous creature for a real man. Then one evening, she saw a message from him, a pic of me and my best friend smiled together, before she blocked him everywhere. Now she's standing outside my house at 4 a.m., tearing up into my Ring doorbell with 47 missed calls. Before I tell you how everything unraveled and how she ended up crying outside my house at 4 in the morning, do me a small favor, tap subscribe, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and help this story reach the people who might need to hear it. I'm Ryan. I'm 29 now, but when this started, I was 26 and thought I was living a normal, decent life. I wasn't flashy. I wasn't perfect. But I was loyal, hardworking, and stupidly in love with my wife, Maya. We'd been married a little over 2 years, together for almost 5. On the surface, everything looked fine. We lived in a quiet neighborhood in Westbrook, Arizona, on Cedar Ridge Lane. A modest house. 2 cars. Shared routines. Shared bills. Shared last name. But looking back, the cracks were everywhere. Maya had changed long before I did. She started going out more. Self-care nights, she called them. Long spa days at Serenity Cove. Evening, wellness sessions at Pulsewell Studio. I didn't question it at first. I actually encouraged it. I thought she was stressed. I thought I was being a good husband by giving her space. What I didn't realize was that while I was giving her space, she was filling it with someone else. My brother. Ethan. He's 3 years younger than me. Charismatic. Smooth. Always had that effortless charm I never did. Growing up, he was the one people noticed first. I never resented him for it. I protected him. Covered for him. Helped him out when he screwed up. I even trusted him around my wife. That part still makes my chest tighten. The psychological game started subtle. Maya began criticizing me in ways that sounded like jokes but landed like knives. Comments about my body. About my job. About how I dressed. About how I lacked confidence. If I reacted, she'd sigh and tell me I was being sensitive. Then came the distancing. She stopped touching me. Stopped asking about my day. Stopped caring if I came home late or early. Sometimes she wouldn't even look up from her phone when I walked into the room. Meanwhile, she accused me of things that made no sense. If I was 10 minutes late, she'd ask who I was with. If my phone buzzed, she'd glance at it. If I laughed at a message, she'd go quiet for hours. I never cheated. Not emotionally. Not physically. Not even close. That's the part that hurts the most, being loyal to someone who was projecting their guilt onto you. The first real crack came through my best friend, Lucas. Lucas and I had been close since college. He was the kind of guy people noticed when he walked into a room, tall, well-groomed, confident without being loud. The kind of guy Maya used to casually comment on. One night, we were grabbing coffee at Juniper Street Cafe. I was venting, not accusing, just confused. Lucas listened quietly, then frowned. "Ryan," he said carefully, "this might sound weird, but, has Maya mentioned your brother a lot lately?" That question hit me harder than it should have. I shrugged it off. They're family now. That's normal, right? Lucas didn't look convinced. A week later, he called me and said something that changed everything. "Maya doesn't know this," he said, "but I ran into her at Serenity Cove Spa yesterday. She was very comfortable with someone. A guy." My stomach dropped. He described him before he even said the name. I already knew. Ethan. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed certainty. Proof. Not because I didn't believe Lucas, but because betrayal like that rewires your brain. You start doubting your own senses. So we made a plan. A quiet one. Lucas would accidentally cross paths with her again. Same spa. Same time. No confrontation. Just observation. And Maya took the bait like it was nothing. She flirted. Hard. Laughed too loud. Touched his arm. Complimented him in ways she hadn't complimented me in years. She had no idea Lucas was watching everything, for me. Over the next few weeks, he fed me details I never wanted but needed to hear. How she complained about me. How she called me lazy. Unattractive. Weak. At one point, she said something that made Lucas sick to his stomach. "I'm finally ready to dump that hideous creature for a real man." That hideous creature was me. And the real man? My brother. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I felt something worse. Clarity. And once you see someone clearly, you can never unsee them. I checked our finances next. That's when I realized the betrayal wasn't just emotional. Maya had been using her credit cards aggressively. Trips. Expensive items. Outings she said were girls' nights or solo resets. All while I was covering more of the household expenses because she said she was tight on cash. That's when the plan shifted. This wasn't about confronting her. This was about letting her destroy herself with her own choices. Lucas stayed close to her. Let her think she was in control. Let her believe she'd found someone better. All the while, every detail came back to me. Dates. Lies. Insults. She thought she was winning. She had no idea she was walking straight toward the moment she'd lose everything. And this was only the beginning. Once I knew the truth, really knew it, something inside me went cold. Not numb, focused. I stopped reacting emotionally around Maya. I smiled when she talked. I nodded when she complained. I listened when she lied straight to my face. And the scary part was how quickly she adjusted to that version of me, like she preferred the quiet, compliant husband who didn't ask questions. That told me everything. Lucas kept seeing her at Serenity Cove Spa, always by chance. Maya never questioned it. She liked the attention. She liked how easily he fell into her orbit. She complained to him about her marriage, about how trapped she felt, about how she'd married too young and chosen wrong. She talked about me like I was an inconvenience she was finally strong enough to leave behind. What she didn't know was that Lucas told me every word. Sometimes he'd record voice notes right after seeing her, sitting in his car, voice low and tense, repeating what she'd said so he wouldn't forget. Other times he'd text me exact phrases, word for word. I saved everything. Dates. Times. Patterns. That's when Ethan entered the picture fully. At first, I hoped, stupidly, that Lucas had misread that part. That maybe my brother was just a background detail. That maybe Maya was exaggerating. She wasn't. Ethan started showing up in her stories. Always cropped. Always just an arm, a shoulder, a reflection. He started texting her during dinner, and she'd tilt her phone away when she replied. She began running errands that took hours. And then came the slip. One night, she left her tablet on the kitchen counter. Notifications popped up while I was washing dishes. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't trying to catch her. The name flashed on the screen. Ethan Blueheart. My hands went steady instead of shaking. That scared me more than rage ever could. I didn't open the message. I didn't need to. The betrayal wasn't theoretical anymore, it was confirmed. The rest was strategy. Lucas suggested we slow things down. Let her think she was in control. Let her believe she'd won. People get careless when they feel superior. And Maya felt superior. She started spending more openly. New clothes. Expensive skincare. Weekend outings. She bragged about how she finally felt appreciated, how someone saw her worth. She never said Ethan's name around me, but she didn't have to. The irony was brutal. She was using her own credit cards to fund the affair, cards I'd helped her pay off more than once. Meanwhile, she started leaning on me more financially at home. Groceries. Utilities. Repairs. She framed it as temporary, as stress, as work issues. I agreed without hesitation. That was the moment she truly underestimated me. Lucas, meanwhile, played his role perfectly. He flirted, but never crossed lines that would have tipped her off. He let her talk. Let her vent. Let her brag. He praised her ambition. Her looks. Her strength. Everything she felt she deserved. And she ate it up. She started comparing him to me openly, to him. Told Lucas how different he was. How exciting. How refreshing it felt to be desired by a real man. She laughed when she talked about me, about how I'd never leave, how I was too predictable. At one point, she said something that made Lucas grip his steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. He's convenient, she said. That's it. He pays his share, does what he's told, and doesn't push back. Ethan understands me. Ryan just exists. That night, Lucas didn't even sugarcoat it when he told me. He was angry on my behalf. Ready to confront her. Ready to blow everything up. I stopped him. Not yet, I said. Let her keep talking. The financial side unraveled faster than I expected. Maya booked a luxury weekend getaway under the guise of a wellness retreat. Charged it entirely to her card. Then complained to me the same week about how overwhelmed she felt financially, how she might need me to cover more expenses just until things stabilize. I agreed again. Behind the scenes, I opened a separate account. Redirected my income. Quietly documented every shared expense I'd covered alone. I wasn't hiding money, I was protecting myself. She didn't notice. She was too busy planning something bigger. Lucas told me Maya had started talking about a major trip. Something tropical. Exclusive. Expensive. She wanted it to be a turning point. A celebration of finally choosing herself. With Ethan. She talked about how she'd leave me after the trip, how she'd make it clean, civil, quick. She said she didn't want drama. Didn't want me to get emotional. That part almost made me laugh. Because while she was planning her exit, I was planning her exposure. And the final piece fell into place without me lifting a finger. Ethan got sloppy. He started calling her late at night. Sometimes while I was home. Sometimes while I was in the same room. She'd step outside to answer. Whisper. Smile. One night, he showed up at the house while I was out with Lucas. Parked 2 blocks away. She didn't even bother hiding it well. Lucas sent me a single message that night. I'm so sorry. It's him. I saw them together. That was it. I didn't need more proof. I didn't need screenshots or recordings or confessions. I needed timing. Over the next month, I played my role perfectly. Supportive husband. Patient listener. Financial safety net. I even helped her pack for the upcoming trip, folded clothes I knew she'd wear for my brother. Every lie she told added another layer to the ending she was walking toward. The funniest part? She thought she was in control. She thought I was clueless. She thought I was weak. She had no idea that while she was planning her future, I was deciding exactly how she'd lose it. And when she finally did, she wouldn't be able to pretend she didn't deserve it. By the time Maya finalized the trip, I had already detached so completely that living beside her felt like sharing space with a stranger. She talked about the getaway nonstop, framing it as a reset she desperately needed. I nodded, smiled, and helped her compare outfits, all while knowing exactly who she planned to meet on the other side of that flight. The trip was booked for Isla Marina Resort, a place so exclusive the overwater bungalows alone cost more than our monthly mortgage. She put the deposit on her primary credit card, then quietly shifted the rest of the household expenses onto me. Groceries. Internet. Insurance. She even asked me to front some cash for unexpected fees at work. I agreed to everything. That wasn't weakness. That was patience. Lucas kept feeding me updates. Maya was reckless now, high on secrecy and ego. She talked openly about how the trip would change everything, how she'd finally feel alive again. She told Lucas she planned to tell me the truth eventually, but only after she secured her future. Her future, apparently, involved my brother. Ethan, for his part, was deep in fantasy mode. He bragged to her about how she deserved better, how I was holding her back, how he'd always known she was too good for me. Lucas overheard him once at Pulsewell's studio, talking loudly like the world needed to hear it. I'm saving her, Ethan said. She married the wrong brother. That sentence rewired something in me permanently. I didn't confront Ethan. Not then. I wanted him comfortable. Arrogant. Careless. People make mistakes when they think they're untouchable. Meanwhile, I prepared my exit quietly. I found a place at Skyline Flats, not far from my office but far enough from Cedar Ridge Lane to feel like another life. I moved documents first. Passport. Birth certificate. Financial records. Then clothes. Then personal items Maya wouldn't notice missing. She never did. She was too busy messaging Ethan, too busy planning outfits and spa appointments and fantasies that didn't include me. A week before the trip, something unexpected happened. Maya sat me down. She looked nervous, but not guilty. Calculating nervous. The kind that comes from rehearsed conversations. She told me she felt we'd grown apart. That she loved me, but wasn't in love anymore. That she needed space to think. That maybe after her trip, we could talk about what came next. She said all of this while looking relieved. I told her I understood. I told her she deserved clarity. I told her I wanted her to be happy. The relief on her face was instant. She hugged me, tighter than she had in months, and thanked me for being so mature. That hug almost broke me, not because I wanted her, but because of how little she knew me anymore. After that conversation, she stopped pretending altogether. She didn't bother hiding her phone. Didn't bother inventing detailed lies. She acted like someone already gone. Lucas and I finalized everything 3 days before her flight. The timing mattered. Maya had scheduled a farewell dinner with friends the night before she left. I declined, citing work. In reality, I was sitting with Lucas and Noah at my new place, mapping out the final moments. The goal wasn't chaos. The goal was clarity. I didn't want screaming. I didn't want theatrics. I wanted a moment she couldn't rewrite, couldn't gaslight away, couldn't twist into her being the victim. The night before her flight, Maya barely slept. She paced. Checked her phone. Packed and repacked her suitcase. Kissed me goodbye like it was already over. At 6:30 a.m., she left for the airport. She kissed my cheek, smiled, and said, "We'll talk when I get back." I watched her walk out of the house with a suitcase full of lies. An hour later, I did exactly what I'd planned. I packed the last of my things, loaded my car, and left Cedar Ridge Lane for the final time. No note. No message. Nothing dramatic. Just absence. Then I waited. Maya's phone lit up while she was waiting to board. She was already at the gate when she saw the message from Lucas. A picture. Me and Lucas standing in my new apartment. Smiling. Calm. Free. The caption was simple. He knows. Everything. Then Lucas blocked her. I blocked her. Ethan blocked her. The timing was perfect. She boarded the plane confused and landed panicked. By the time she arrived at Isla Marina Resort, her credit cards were frozen, not by me, but by her own bank, triggered by unusual activity and unpaid balances she'd ignored while chasing fantasy. She spent hours trying to call me. 47 missed calls. Voicemails. Texts. Emails. I didn't respond. I spent that weekend unpacking my new life. Cooking dinner. Sleeping peacefully for the first time in months. When she finally made it back to Westbrook 2 days later, she went straight to Cedar Ridge Lane. And found the house empty. That's when the panic turned into desperation. She drove to Skyline Flats. At 4 a.m., my Ring doorbell camera caught her standing there, mascara streaked, hair tangled, suitcase beside her. Crying. Begging. Apologizing to the air. I didn't mean it like that, she sobbed. I was confused. Please, Ryan. Just talk to me. I watched the live feed from my bed, phone resting on my chest, heart steady. I didn't answer. Because by then, the story was already over for me. And for her, it was just beginning. By the time the sun came up that morning, Maya was gone from outside my building. Building security told me later she'd been escorted out after neighbors complained. She didn't resist. She didn't argue. She just looked hollow, like someone who'd finally realized the floor beneath them had been imaginary the whole time. I didn't feel triumph. I felt calm. That surprised me. I'd imagined rage, satisfaction, maybe even guilt. What I felt instead was distance, clean, quiet distance. The kind you only get after something poisonous is fully out of your system. Over the next few days, the fallout rolled in waves. First came the messages from unknown numbers. Maya borrowing phones. Friends' phones. Even a burner number she thought I wouldn't recognize. I didn't answer any of them. Silence wasn't punishment. It was boundary. Then came Ethan. He showed up at Skyline Flats 3 days later, mid-afternoon. I recognized his car from the window and felt something close to amusement. He buzzed my unit like he had a right to. When I didn't respond, he called. I answered that one. Ryan, he said, voice tight. We need to talk. No, I replied calmly. You need to listen. There was a pause. He wasn't used to that tone from me. I know everything, I continued. I know how long it went on. I know what she said about me. I know what you said about me. I know about Isla Marina. I know about the credit cards. I know about the lies. Silence. Then defensiveness. It wasn't like that. I cut him off. You don't get to explain. You don't get forgiveness. And you definitely don't get access to my life anymore. He tried anger next. Called me cold. Petty. Accused me of setting her up. That's the part you don't understand, I said. I didn't set anyone up. I stepped out of the way and let you both be exactly who you are. He left without another word. That was the last conversation I ever had with my brother. Maya tried different tactics. After begging didn't work, she switched to rewriting history. She told people I'd abandoned her. That I was emotionally unavailable. That she'd felt neglected for years. Some people believed her. Most didn't. Lucas sent me screenshots, not to stir anything up, but to show me the pattern. The same manipulation she'd used on me, she was now using on everyone else. It didn't work. Ethan cut her off completely once the financial reality hit him. Turns out he hadn't known how deep her debt really was. He hadn't known about the frozen cards, the missed payments, the loans she'd quietly taken out. Funny how fantasy collapses when bills show up. Her job put her on probation after she missed work due to the wellness retreat that turned into a financial disaster. Friends distanced themselves. Invitations dried up. And for the first time, she was alone in a way she'd never been before. She tried one last thing a month later. A letter. Handwritten. Slipped under my apartment door. I almost didn't read it. But curiosity won. It was long. Apologetic in tone, but vague in accountability. She wrote about confusion. About feeling lost. About making mistakes. She wrote about loving me in her own way. About hoping one day we could at least talk. She never once mentioned my brother by name. She never once acknowledged the cruelty of her words. She never once took responsibility without cushioning it in self-pity. I folded the letter, put it back in the envelope, and dropped it into a drawer I'd labeled, past. I never responded. Life moved forward faster than I expected once I stopped dragging dead weight behind me. Work improved. My focus sharpened. I started sleeping through the night. Eating better. Laughing more. The tension I'd lived with for years melted out of my body like it had never belonged there. I reconnected with people I'd drifted from during my marriage. Old friends. Co-workers. Family members who weren't toxic. I rebuilt my routines without compromise. Lucas stayed close. Noah checked in regularly. Jenna dragged me out to social events until I remembered how to exist without walking on eggshells. And slowly, without effort, joy crept back in. I ran into Maya once, 6 months later, at a grocery store across town. She looked different. Smaller. Tired. When she saw me, she froze. I nodded politely and kept walking. That moment told me everything I needed to know. I didn't need closure. I didn't need an apology. I didn't need revenge. I had peace, and peace is the one thing people who betray you can never stand to see you have. Looking back now, I understand something I didn't back then. Detachment isn't weakness. It's self-respect arriving quietly. I didn't explode. I didn't beg. I didn't chase truth from people who had already proven they'd lie to keep their comfort. I chose myself. And the moment I did, everything else fell into place. If you're listening to this and you recognize even a fraction of yourself in my story, if you feel dismissed, disrespected, or quietly erased in a relationship, know this: you don't owe anyone your suffering. You don't have to announce your breaking point. You're allowed to step back, get clear, and walk away with dignity. Before you go, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment telling me where you're watching from, and share this story with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes the strongest move isn't confrontation. Sometimes it's choosing silence and a better life.